The first lesson I did with my students had to do with crab habitats, and the students were to draw their room as a habitat and label it like a diagram. I started out the lesson by asking the students what they already knew about crabs. They thought to themselves, talked to their group, and then talked as a class with me with a group discussion. This was a think, pair, share. The students were able to describe what the crabs need in their environments. We made a web on the board with all the features that the habitats would need for the crabs to survive. When we were done, we made the habitat as a class at my back table. Then the students drew the diagram of the actual habitat in their journals. The students reacted rather well to the lesson. They were able to understand what the crabs needed easily, and having the actual diagram in front of them helped as well. Overall, the lesson went rather well. The students were able to draw the crabs and the habitats that they needed. They also really enjoyed the art section. They were able to draw in the crabs as if they were in a habitat and put them up on their lockers. They really enjoyed personalizing the room and using what they learned. The second experiment I did with my fourth graders had to do with them building cars with Kinects in order to learn about energy and motion. I first administered my probe, which asked the students what they thought it took for a car to run faster down a ramp. They're given the options: the ramp size, the weight, and the number of wheels. Next, I used Think, Pair, Share again to get their ideas on what a car needed to run. We discussed what a car needed to run without the engine because they knew that we would not be building cars with engines in class. We then built a web as a class on the board, which they recorded into their journals. The students were put into groups to build the cars with the Kinect pieces. This is age appropriate because students in younger grades would not be able to build these cars without the help of teachers or monitoring of teacher help. During this time, they were able to make the deeper connections with the prior knowledge that they had from building the webs. They used the knowledge they have from either Legos or other experiences with Hot Wheels or real cars to build the structure of the actual car.
But hey, what'd you do? What did you connect with, James?
To hold this
The students' reaction to building the cars was great. They all tested out their cars on the ramp that they would use to race them on. I allowed them to go back and redesign their cars accordingly if they chose. They were then allowed to test them out again to make sure their modifications were acceptable. This is a part of the engineering design process like we practiced in class. During this time, my cooperating teacher helped monitor the practice of the cars racing down the ramp. She was pleased to see how well the students worked together and how great their designs had been. She said this was the first time in years that she had seen the cars work so well the first time and not really need any adjustments.
Get set, go.
When I asked the students who won what they did to modify their car, they said that they knew they had to add more weight in order to make the car go faster. They said they learned this from watching other students' cars go down the ramp and recognizing what cars were going faster. I assessed them by re-administering the probe and asking them to circle their answer with a crayon or a marker of any other color. The purpose was for me to be able to see if they made any changes in their thought process. If they were not able to get the answer correct, which was B the first time, I wanted to see what they had originally. I asked the students how many of them changed their answer. I then told them that when I first learned about the cars, but I didn't get the right answer either. This helped the students who did not get the answer correctly feel more comfortable. At the end, every student in the class understood that the weight of the car did determine how fast it would go down the ramp. Overall, I am pleased with how the lesson went. The students were able to stay engaged every step of the way. Although the lesson took a few days and was not all at once like we had planned, the students were still able to refer back to what they had done the week before in order to continue building the cars. They worked great as teams and were able to let the team leader make the decisions that they needed to make in order to help the car be built more efficiently. If I were to do this lesson again, I would most likely want to have another form of structure for the students to build the cars with. I would really enjoy using the We Do Legos like we did in the science class. I think this is another great outlet for the students to build the cars and to see how well they work together. I would also be interested to see how the students could compare using the We Do Legos to the Kinects. I would like to see how well they would be able to use the Legos. The other option would be to have the solar powered cars like I did for my grant writing.